This chapter is where truth turns into a decision. The digital vehicle inspection, the DVI, is discovery. It shows what we found with proof. The estimate is the decision point. It shows what the findings mean in dollars, time, and priorities. That distinction matters because customers are not only asking what's wrong, they're also asking what does it cost and what should I do first. If we do not answer those three questions clearly, customers feel overwhelmed. When customers feel overwhelmed, they default to doing nothing. Here is the shared truth in a Champion shop. A strong DVI without a clear estimate creates confusion. A clear estimate without a strong DVI creates doubt. Both must lock together. This is where most shops get it wrong. They either show a giant total without context and create sticker shock, or they present findings in a scattered way, piece by piece, which makes customers feel like the shop is finding more problems as the visit goes on. Champion shops don't do either. Champion shops follow proof before price. If you start with the total, the customer shuts down. Even reasonable totals feel expensive when they show up without a story. Once a customer shuts down, they stop hearing your explanations. The rest of the conversation feels like pressure. If you start with proof, photos, measurements, and a clear story, the customer understands before they see the total. That removes pressure. It creates calm, so the flow matters. Inspection tab first, story first, then estimate. And we operate by a standard we call the 300 rule, 100%. 100%. 100% of findings that matter are documented in the DVI. 100% of those findings are converted into estimate lines. 100% of those estimate lines are presented to the customer. This prevents hiding truth to make a total smaller. It prevents cherry-picking what to present based on mood or customer relationship. It prevents forgetting to mention declined items from past visits that are now worse. If we found it and it matters, the customer deserves to know. Now, this does not mean we overwhelm them. We organize. The estimate must answer three questions with clarity. What's wrong? With proof. What does it cost? Out the door, not parts only. What should I do first? Priorities and urgency. That is what a Champion estimate does. So it does not dump information. It organizes it into a proposal the customer can act on. The customer should never be forced to guess what matters. That's our job. And the difference between a proposal and a sales pitch is structure. A sales pitch feels like pushing. A proposal feels like guidance. Champion advisors present like teachers, not closers. The tone is calm. The process is consistent. The customer feels in control. The order is also consistent. We do not present 5 times. We present once with the full story. Multiple partial presentations create suspicion. One complete presentation creates confidence. It signals that we were thorough from the start. We also group the estimate for clarity. Do now red items, safety or reliability concerns that are time sensitive. Plan soon, yellow items, maintenance and wear that should be planned. Optional, comfort items or nice to haves that the customer can choose. Grouping prevents overwhelm. It gives the customer a decision path instead of a giant wall of cost. And there is another non-negotiable, out the door totals. We do not show parts only and then surprise the customer later with tax and fees. Surprise fees destroy trust instantly. A Champion estimate shows what the customer will actually pay if they approve it. No hidden math, no surprises at pickup. We also lock time. Price and time are both commitments. Even a perfect estimate feels unprofessional if the time promise is optimistic and not realistic. We underpromise slightly so we can overdeliver. If parts are not in stock, if rust could slow the job, or if diagnosis could expand, we say that up front. That keeps trust intact. Here's what this chapter is really teaching. The DVI builds belief. The estimate builds action. When you show proof first and present a clear, organized estimate second, customers approve without pressure because the truth makes sense. That is the Champion standard.
For the technician, your inspection determines whether the advisor can build a confident estimate without guessing. The estimate is built from your raw material. If that raw material is vague, missing, or inconsistent, the advisor will either delay the presentation to fix it or present weakly and sound uncertain. Either way, trust drops.
So your job is not to build the estimate.
Your job is to feed it. There are 5 things the advisor must get from you to build and present correctly. First, clear red and yellow identification based on locked ranges. The advisor uses your colors to organize priorities. If colors are inconsistent, the estimate organization becomes inconsistent. That creates confusion. Customers spot inconsistency fast. Second, measurements for every wear item. Brakes in millimeters. Tires in 30 seconds. Battery test results with rated versus measured CCA and percentage. Fluid recommendations supported by test data, condition note, or interval reasoning. Measurements remove opinion. They make the recommendation defensible. Without numbers, customers hear maybe, and maybe feels like upsell. Third, proof photos and videos. Every red item needs a clear photo or video.
Yellow wear items should have photos as well.
The advisor's presentation relies on proof. If there's no proof, the advisor has to ask the customer to trust words, and that is where approvals drop. Photos must be usable. Clear lighting, clean lens, correct framing. For measurements, the gauge should be visible in the shot. For leaks, show location and source with wide and close. For movement, a short steady video beats a blurry photo. Fourth, notes that translate into estimate lines. Your notes should be short, specific, and customer readable. The advisor should be able to read your note out loud without rewriting it. A strong note sounds like front pads 3 millimeters, rotors heavily scored, recommend front brake service. A weak note sounds like bad or needs brakes. Weak notes force the advisor to guess what you meant. Guessing is the enemy. Fifth, the customer concern must be addressed. Verified or not verified, it must be documented clearly. The concern note is often the first thing the advisor looks for because it proves we listened. If the customer came for a noise and we don't address it, they will ignore the rest of the inspection, even if it's thorough. Now, the better you feed these 5 areas, the cleaner the estimate becomes. When your measurements and proof are tight, the advisor can convert findings into clean estimate lines quickly. They can group them correctly. They can present calmly. Customers understand. Approvals happen without pressure. When your inspection is weak, the advisor's estimate becomes messy. They rewrite notes. They hunt for missing photos. They call you back for retakes. The presentation is delayed or feels uncertain. Customers hesitate. Work gets declined. Then the shop loses money and the bay stays emptier. So feeding the estimate is not just about helping the advisor. It's about protecting your hours. A clear DVI creates a clear estimate. A clear estimate creates action. Action creates approved work. Approved work fills bays. That's the chain. Your job is to make the truth easy to present. When the truth is easy to present, it gets respected. And when it gets respected, it gets approved.
When I hear we built an estimate, what I really want is clarity. I want to know what you found, what it costs, and what matters most. If you show me a total first, I'm going to feel sticker shock even if the price is fair, because I don't have context yet. What helps me is proof before price. If you show me the inspection first, photos and measurements, I understand why the work is being recommended. Then when I see the estimate, it feels like an organized plan instead of a surprise. I also need priorities. If everything is presented as urgent, I don't believe it. If nothing is organized, I feel overwhelmed and I default to doing nothing. But if you group it clearly, what needs to be done now, what can be planned soon, and what's optional, I can make a decision without feeling pressure. I also care about the final number. I don't like plus tax and fees. I want to know what I'll actually pay if I approve it. Surprises at the end make me feel tricked. Time matters too. If you tell me it will be ready at a certain time and it's not, I lose confidence. If you give me a realistic time estimate and keep me updated, I feel respected. The best experiences are when it feels like the shop is teaching me, not selling me. When you show me the proof, explain priorities, and give me clear options, I feel in control. And when I feel in control, I'm more comfortable approving what actually needs to be done.